So I think that what we'll do is I'll take some caulk and caulk these joints and along this inside edge right here, and a little bit down in here. There's a little bit of imperfections along in here. I skim coated some of it.
These are the cracks that we're wanting to close up.
Just this gap inside this trim. So I'll go around this opening on both sides and caulk it, and while I'm at it, I might as well take the caulk and spot these nail heads. And at that point in time, we give the caulk a little bit of time to dry and get tacky, and maybe before we leave, it'll be ready. We could put a finish coat of paint on it. We also could caulk along the top of the base trim, where the base trim is going into the wall. The walls are never perfect,
Especially in old houses. Yeah.
And so sometimes you're going to have little areas where it's a little open on the top, and it looks so much nicer with a little bit of caulk to fill that, and also to fill the nail heads.
So you're thinking maybe tonight you'll do a lot of caulking, mostly?
Well, truth be told, I feel like it's a squirrel. Tonight I came here with the intention of doing trim in that bedroom back there. I've got trim from the lower level that we stripped and we're not going to reuse. And I've got enough to do this. I've just got to pull the nails out of it and cut it for this application here.
And it's the same trim as you see around all the other doors on this floor. It's just that one, what we have downstairs, isn't painted. So we'll have to prime and paint it.
What I'd love to do would be to trim out the inside of this room, and if there's any gaps, caulk the gaps if there is any. I see there's a little bit of gap in that window trim at the top. I may get that as well. Then I think we could pull all this stuff out of here. You know, this 2x4s and all this other stuff in here can come out of here. And then we can finish the base trim and get all the trim done. And then it just needs to be painted and this room is complete. We do have an electrician coming to change out this fan. Have you seen my nail puller?
Not offhand, but I can hunt for it.
Yeah, we need to hunt for that because I need those nails out of that trim so that I can, oh, here it is.
Okay, is there something that you want to do and I can start working on that?
Sure, if you want to work on this, I'll chase that squirrel for a little bit until you're ready.
Awesome. How much would the wood chuck if a wood chuck could chuck wood?
Probably not quite that much. Wood chucks are small.
Not quite this much. Should I take it out the back? Or just bring it downstairs?
I would bring it downstairs. I mean, do you think maybe there's a chance that I'm about to say something southern, we could use that?
We might could. So look how nice and tight this is now. You can't see the cracks and crevices.
A little caulk and a little paint makes a carpenter what he ain't.
But you are already a great carpenter, my honey hun.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
This down here looks a little funny-ish. We are aware of that.
You know what? I can improve on that.
So that will look less funny-ish, I guess.
It's not a bad idea to put a little bit of caulk in there.
There you go.
Ideally, we probably should have run the base through and run this into the base. So, you know.
We didn't think of it at the time.
We didn't. We just did. We were
just moving forward.
Yep. So next time we'll do it the other way.
This is how we probably should have done that other side over there. But we didn't think of it at the time. And it's good enough. I mean, you're not going to walk through the house and look at that and be like, oh my gosh. So, at least ideally.
Some of the guys on a job site would be like, listen, we're not building the church.
Right. All right, and then right after this is finished, we will go and start putting trim around the inside door there in the master bedroom.
So, I'm going to mark this about 3/16 past the inside of this frame. That'll be the short point of my 45. And that's pretty much what your reveal is going to be. All the way around this door will be about 3/16. That's typically standard. You can go a little more, a little less. Sometimes you have to in certain applications. I think this one is pretty straightforward. So I'll cut this headpiece and we'll start with that. So here's the first piece. Now, when I put this first piece on, I typically just put a nail or two in the middle because I like to try to get the joints on the end tight, and it allows some flexibility if I just put nails in the middle. So we'll set it in place here. I want about 3/16 all the way around this. So it'll be about 3/16 up above it. Oh, another nail sticking out. Oh well, we found the nail set. Now, I'm going to measure from the floor and I'll come up to the bottom of this trim. This is already 3/16 high. I'll come up to the bottom of this trim. I've got 81 and 5/8 strong. That's going to be the short point. 81 and 5/8 strong. Strong means about an extra 16th. So 81 and 5/8 strong is 81 and 11/16. That'll be on the left side. That's important to remember at the saw. Left hand piece. 81 and 11/16. So this trim that we're using up is a little bit short, and I'm okay with that. I think being that we're going to be painting this anyways, it's going to be okay if it's a little short. I'm going to recut this because I think this last cut is less than perfect, and I'm already going to put a little piece in at the bottom. Slightly bigger piece will be okay. All right. Now, typically, I would just buy new trim and work with new trim. But we're trying to use up some trim that we had left over, and we are on a budget. And everything's getting painted anyways. It's really not going to matter that I've got a little piece on the bottom. All the way down, which sometimes it is, sometimes they're nice and straight, and other times they're not straight. I'm going to keep my nails. I'll keep a set probably about, I don't know, I guess I would say about 14 to 16 inches apart. So maybe I'll have 5 or 6 sets up each side. That's just what I do. Maybe some people put more, maybe some people put less. Everybody has their own opinion on the matter, but this is mine. Alright, then to finish this out, I'm going to have a little 4 1/8 inch piece, which I'll cut. Again, I'm going to measure off the floor. This is what I like. Alright, I'm not promoting, I guess I am. I'm not being paid by Stanley to say this. This is why I like my Stanley tape over a FatMax, because it does things like this a lot easier. You can roll this tape a lot easier. The FatMax is great for standout. So standout would be something like this. A FatMax can stand out a lot further than this standard Stanley. But this Stanley, for a carpenter, when you're taking measurements and you're doing things like this is just the best, I think. So, bottom of the trim, 81 5/8 to the short of a right hand piece. 81 5/8. 81 5/8. And again, we're using a piece that's not going to go the whole direction or the whole way. So I guess my 81 5/8 didn't really matter. It's going to be a 2-piece. We'll trim paint in here. So we have the right side. Oh, and by the way, I should be wearing my safety glasses. Some of you might point that out to me, and yeah, you do right. I don't have them with me right now, and I guess I'm just living dangerously. Now we can switch to the base trim. The door trim is on. You know, being that it's used trim, there are some other holes that we're going to caulk. There's some serious advantages to painted trim from a carpenter standpoint. you don't have to fuss too much about your joints. You get them close, you know, I mean, you don't have to make them perfect like you would if it was, you know, oak. Time matters, so you make them semi-tight and you go about your job and get it done. And you're gonna come back with the caulk done later anyways, you throw a little caulk in those joints.
This is the closet. It's got its first coat of paint. It still looks really rough, and we're not finishing that side because if somebody steps inside the closet and turns around and inspects the back of it, then they'll find a very solidly built wall is what they'll find. I suppose I did paint the inside down there, so I guess I'll need to paint it up there. There's going to be a bifold door here. I am very close to this closet. There's going to be a bifold door there, and on the left side, 2 levels of closet rod hanging, and this big crack, the big gap between the walls, we're going to be putting cove molding in there, so it'll be trim that closes it up, makes it look nice. I have to touch up the corners, so it's still rough. It's just the first coat, but every step, everything that we can do is one step closer to having this house ready to rent.
So now we're going to do a little base trim here. And now that I've got the door trim on, I can run my base trim up to it. That's typically the order of things. Work on that now. We got a 45-degree angle here, and that's kind of where we're going to start. I'll get it close, a little bit long, and then I'll mark it and cut it in place. Typically in a room you've got 90-degree corners. You've got 90-degree corner there, here, here, and here. But this little guy here is a 45. So instead of cutting your angle at 45, which is half of 90, you got a split 45. So that little piece of trim that's down there is cut at 22 and a half. And this little piece that I cut just now, fit up against it, is also 22 and a half. And obviously those two add up to the 45, which is what I have there. What I did then is I put it in place and I made a mark, which is going to be the outside. I'm going to have a 45-degree outside corner here. So I'm going to do the same thing in reverse. Instead of a 22 and a half inside degree cut, I'm going to have a 22 and a half outside. 22 and a half degree outside cut. There we go. Get that order correct. So I'll cut this and we'll see what happens. So before I put that piece in, I'm just going to leave it loose. I'm going to cut the other one. I want to make sure the angle comes together nicely before I tack it in. Forgot my number. 4 3/16. I cut it a little bit long because I can always take more off, but I guess if it's short I can caulk it, but I don't know. I just in the habit of cutting things a little bit long. Yeah, that's actually going to be perfect. Good, good. So now, I really should try to find a stud. And I say stud because I'm pretty sure when I frame this, there's only one in the middle. It's about a, maybe a 28-inch span. And so, well, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's a 30 and a half inch span. So really I only needed one stud in the middle. but I don't know exactly where it is, and it always helps to be able to hit the studs. That is the one downfall about being good with mud and tape. When you can make it look real good, you can't even find the studs because you covered it up really well, which is just good. I could go find a stud finder, but I'm going to instead use the noise method. And a lot of times I can pretty much find it just by the noise it makes. When you're building a wall that's a 45 coming into a straight wall, the one side is going to come in and touch on the inside, which would be the other side of this wall, and the other side is going to be open, kind of like a pie shape. If you're looking down on it or looking up at it, which can't really do either, but if you were, it would look kind of like a pie shaped. It's going to be, they're going to be real close on the inside, the other side, inside the angle. On the outside of the angle, they're going to be a little bit further apart. So there's probably no stud in this corner like there typically would be in a 90 degree. There would be one on each side because 45s are just different. When the guys put the floor down, I told them to leave me a gap all the way around because laminate floors, they can move a little bit. It's a floating floor. You need to give it a little bit of room around the perimeter. So they kind of put in these wood chunks all the way around, and I'm going to kind of pull them out as I go. So now we're on the other side here. We're back on the easy 90 degree corners. We come up to the piece of panel in there. Measured here, we've got 63 strong. And 63 strong is going to be 63 and a 16th. And that'll have a 45 on it. That'll be to the long point of the 45. Alright, 63 strong. And I set down my pencil. Here it is. 63 strong. Okay, my measurement's a little bit strong. Huh. I don't know how I did it. Oh, I know how I did it. I think I made the long point the short point. Anyways, it's a little long, no big deal. I got about extra quarter inch here. I'm going to make a mark. I'm going to mark it in place. And cut it. This thing with trim, if it's a little bit long, you can always cut it a second time. No big deal. Beautiful. All right. And again, I did a really good job mud and taping this wall, and now I have no idea where my studs are. Ginger, do we have a stud finder here?
Yes.
That'd probably be a better way of doing things. So this is a nice little tool. It's called a stud finder. They're pretty cheap, and they work in a lot of applications, especially through drywall. They struggle a little bit sometimes with lath and plaster, but this should do a good job showing me where the studs are. I'm going to make a nice, small, light mark that I can erase when I'm done with a eraser, but it'll tell me where the studs are, because really with base trim, any base trim, but especially one that's a little bit taller than your entry level, the taller the base, the more important it is. But really all base, you need to have two nails in it, one that go into the bottom plate and one that hits stud. If you're not hitting a stud with your nails on your base trim, you really should be. So I'll just go across. I know the guy that laid this out is typically puts it 16 on center. That'd be me. So I could measure 16s. In fact, I probably will. So I'll come from that point. I know I found a stud. I'll go 16, and then I'll go 32, and then I'll double check myself, because it's pretty close. Okay, I'm gonna go just a little bit here to the right. Okay, now let's let it go. Where's my gun? Must be back there. There it is. All right. And I think there's another stud here I didn't mark. Let's see if there's another one over here. Yeah. It's going to be right at the edge. I don't like to put nails right on the edge of any kind of trim. This is a little bit more forgiving because it's pine, just painted pine. And honestly, it's painted. If we get a little split in there, I can put a little caulk in there and paint it. But I'd rather hit the stud and deal with it if it splits. This wall here is paneling over top of lath and plaster. The beauty of the lath and plaster is that there's going to be wood lath. Look at this paneling too. There's going to be wood lath and plaster everywhere. So I don't have to worry about hitting the studs. If I do hit the studs, great. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find them through all this covering. I'm going to see how it holds without. I guess if it's not holding very well, then I'm going to have to somehow find the stud and make it a point to do that. But I'm pretty sure with the lath that's behind there and the plaster that I'm going to pretty well be able to put a nail anywhere, and it's going to suck in that trim nice and tight. So we will see. Also, I don't know if you can see this. Let me move this camera here a little bit. Tweak this a little bit. There's my other side. So you can probably see a gap on the bottom of that board. It's possible that the trim is got a little bit of a swoop to it. It's more probable that this old house has a floor that's got a little bit of a low spot there. It's not that unusual for a house that is 100 years old to have unevenness in the floors. It's quite common. As long as it's not a structural issue. There was a structural issue in this house. I had to go in the basement and put some support underneath some of the floor joists. I actually jacked up the house. It had a wall built on top of a floor joist that was overspanned, and they never doubled it up. You really, when you build a house, when you put a wall, you should double up the floor joist underneath the wall. Well, they didn't do that. It was spanned 16 feet, and then they built that wall, which is, from my understanding, lath and plaster is about 7 times heavier than drywall. A very heavy wall on top of it, and then they put the second floor on, they put a wall above that wall. So you had all the weight transferred all the way down to that floor joist, that single floor joist spanning 16 feet. And to make matters worse, somewhere during the life of this home, somebody thought it would be a good idea to run some ductwork. And it is a good idea to run ductwork. It is not a good idea to run ductwork and cut 2 inches out of the top of a 2x8 that's already overspanned. So yeah, I had to take care of that. I had to jack up the house some. There were some low spots that were pretty severe, and I could feel by walking on it that it was kind of spongy. And so anyways, we took care of that. But that's not the issue in this room. A lot of it's commonplace in older homes. So anyways, here's how I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to come over to the center of this span. I'm going to see if I can push this down. That'll be a better way. I'll show you this hammer too. So I have a specially designed hammer. See that? That is what you call a Labrador. Yes, when you leave your tools on the floor, or at least this one, and you leave your dog in a room, your chocolate lab, he sometimes can remodel your tools. So yeah, I've had this hammer, I don't know, 10, 12 years. Well, maybe not that long. Maybe 8 years. My dog is about 11 years, and he was about 3 when he did this. Now some of it came back up. Hey Ginger, I really need a hand with this. Okay, so we're back, and just got this last wall to do here. This door over here is it's going to be used as a barn door in that other room, and we're going to buy the hardware for it. And sadly, I threw away the doorknob. So maybe I can find one downstairs that I could use. I wasn't planning at the time that I stripped this off of reusing it. It was just it was a good idea that my wife had to solve an issue over there as far as which way the door should swing. And barn doors are they're pretty cool. So we need the hardware. It's going to slide along the wall. We'll probably cover that in an upcoming video. So we're moving it out of the way for now. my hands and knees through here. May not be a bad idea just to make a nice little sweep here. Sometimes little screws and nails on the floor and end up kneeling on them and hurts. I'm not really sure what they call it. I just call it a nail puller. It's shaped like this. I got a really good brand. I got the, I believe it's Nipex. And I don't know, I might have paid a little bit more for it. But it's hardened steel on here. So sometimes you pull the nail out. If the nail doesn't want to come out, this is hard enough steel that you could just go ahead and snip that nail and go right over top of it. So typically I try taking them out. And, so what I do here. So, again, we have an outside wall, lath and plaster, it's got paneling over it. I would love, if I had time, I would strip all of it. I'd strip all of it, take the plaster down, re-dry all of it. I think over time I'm probably going to do that, but right now, I'm trying to make this place nice and better. I can't perfect everything because every month that goes by, nobody lives here. And I'm paying for a house that is empty, which isn't good. So for now, I'm gonna keep some of this plaster and paneling. And over time, as I have a vacancy, I'll go in and remodel a little here, a little there, until it is what I want it to be. One thing with paneling is that it's not always tight when you think it is. So I took my measurements off of the paneling, and when I put my nails in the trim, it sucked the paneling up a little tighter. So my joints are a little looser than they would normally be. And yeah, I'm gonna use a little caulk, and it's gonna look beautiful.
So we put a couple hours of work in upstairs. I think we got some big wins. We weren't even planning on coming tonight. We thought we had plans tonight. So this is a freebie.
Yeah, it's good because we've had a lot of setbacks.
Yeah, we have.
So it's nice to have a unexpected forward move.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you'll join us next time.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.